Welcome to the Remodelers Show, hosted by Kyle Hunt.
Thank you, everyone. Currently, there's 0 people watching this live, according to my little thing. But still, the applause was very kind of you. This is the Remodeler Show. It is the Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020 edition. It happens to be election day today. And this is the first of 2 shows this week. We are live today, and we are also live tomorrow at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just ate half my lunch. Decided to get a little Jimmy John's today. They are freaky fast. They did deliver to the doorstep of my office very swiftly. So I've got some nourishment. Today I decided I needed to drink some water. Need to drink a little bit more water, especially now that it's not as hot outside. It's very easy for us to forget about drinking water. So there's your tip of the day. You might not get anything else from this little conversation, but there is your tip of the day. The theme of today's show is all about Gary Vaynerchuk. Some of you may go, huh? Who's that? I thought this was the Remodeler Show with Kyle Hunt. Well, I'm here, and I'm your host, and I'll be doing all the talking. But I have pulled a bunch of Gary Vaynerchuk quotes today, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But if you don't know who this guy is, a lot of people love him. A lot of people hate him. I kind of ebb and flow with following him over the years, kind of go deep into his content for a season, then kind of like, I've heard enough. I remember at first when I first started listening to his stuff or saw some links to it, I'm like, really, dude? Do you have to drop the F-bomb like every other sentence? Do you really have to talk like that? And it was kind of a turnoff because I don't cuss much. But then once I got past that and realized, okay, yeah, he's got some bravado. He's got some New Jersey in him, but that's just the way he communicates, and it's not meant for to try to wow people or to try to shock people. It's just how he talks. I really realized as I followed him a little bit more that he's just a really good dude, and he's smart. I had the chance back in May of 2019 to spend a day at the VaynerMedia headquarters in New York City. I went with one of my clients. I'll tell you about that during one of the little stops here on today's Remodeler Show. But had a chance to spend the day. That's Gary right there. That's yours truly. That's my client, Ari. That's my client, Ari's employee, Gail. And just had a group of business people in, and we spent the whole day. There's an hour and a half with Gary in there, kind of a Q&A. There was time with his team, and it was an excellent day, especially for somebody who had followed his content for a long time. But what prompted today in this Remodeler Show was I used one of his phrases. I haven't really watched Gary's stuff in a decent amount of time. It pops up occasionally for me. But I used a phrase during one of my courses last week, and it was this document, don't create, which I'll tell you more about here in a second. Document, don't create. And it really resonated with people, and it got me thinking about Gary's content, some of the one-liners he uses, and I thought, I'm just going to do a Remodeler Show with hitting all those. Quickly, before we get into that, does coffee count as water? I get it does. I think technically it does. Like if you're using like a fitness app and you're drinking 12 ounces of coffee, that does count as liquid intake. Rhonda has some more thoughts. I make it a point to drink my water before coffee. If I don't drink the water first, then no coffee. I enjoy my water with lemon and special salt. It helps me with migraines. So Rhonda's got a little bit of some opinion on water and coffee and how she rolls with it. Special salt? Does it taste salty? That doesn't sound very appealing. All right. So this document, don't create. I'm going to go through just these different lines, these different phrases that Gary shared that's kind of impacted me, that I've worked to implement. And I hope that out of that, it's going to be motivating and it's going to be helpful and maybe give you some clarity. This document, don't create. Where this came up is I was doing a course in October about charging for design and project development. And one of the classes within the course was on how do we market and how do we sell, why and how we charge for design and project development. And a big part of how we market it is that we need to document the process. Gary's got this phrase of document, don't create. When we are creating marketing pieces, when we are trying to market our business, we sometimes will naturally be like, okay, how can I craft this marketing message so that it stands out? And what's my hook for it? And And his approach is, look, just document. Document your day. Document what's going on in your business. And in particular, when it came to charging for design and project development, show off what you're doing today. I'm working on a design for a kitchen. These clients just signed a project development agreement with us last week. And we're at arguably, in my estimation, one of the most exciting parts of the whole process, where we get to really start to envision and bring to life what this project's going to look like. You know, we're out here today at a granite shop. Let me take a picture of all of those slabs. This is something that we walk each of our clients through, and our clients should be joining us here shortly. And we're going to go through and select the slab that they're going to use in their kitchen. You know, we're out here today, and I'm waiting on my trade partners to arrive within the next 15 minutes. And we're doing a trade walkthrough. There's so much effort and time that needs to go into the pre-planning of a project. Just document what you do in that design and project development phase of things. Document, don't create. It's so much easier. The other reason why I know this works is, one, out of that class, 6 or 7 people like immediately implemented it and had some posts that outperformed other content they've created by far. But the other reason I know this works is because this is what I do. So much of the content that you read, what I'm doing right now, I'm documenting. I did something last week and I'm telling you about it. The content that I create that resonates with you guys, whether you know it or not, is the content that is, I was on a coaching call last Thursday with a client of mine in Minnesota. And what they were experiencing was this. I just tell a story. I just document what's going on. Right? So document, don't create is such a powerful phrase. And that's kind of what prompted me to do a little bit of a Remodeler show on Gary V quotes. I do have to pause though, as we move on to the next thing, and just give a little shout out to my friends at Mactown Construction in Illinois. I mean, a sharp looking hat. They sent me a little care package. Another hat to cover my bald head because it's starting to get chilly. A couple pens. And just a nice little, I guess you would call it a brochure, but it's a little bit different sized. But just really strong branding, really strong logo that Tony and Tracy, they sent this to me. They put a little extra effort and love into the design of their business cards. Your key to quality. They got a little tagline and just some interesting design and branding to this. You know, they put a little extra effort into it. So I wanted to show you guys that. Oh, and they included a little thank you card, which was very sweet. I love getting swag. You can even get a shout out during the Remodeler show when you send me swag. Thank you, Tony and Tracy. All right. Next little Gary V thing. 59.49. I'm sorry, 51. 51.49. 51.49. 51.49. Provide 51% of the value in a relationship, whether it's with an employee, a client, or a stranger. If you approach your relationships with the mindset of, I'm going to give more to them than they're going to give to me. I'm going to provide them value. I'm going to go a little bit extra. I'm going to go a little bit over the top. If you do that consistently and give and want to outgive the person that you're interacting with, that's a big time recipe for success. It's really a huge thing that I believe wholeheartedly in. And it's really how I have and continue to build my business. The more you give to somebody, the better. It comes back to you. But this mindset of 51.49, 51.49 is something that can be very powerful and helpful. Okay, so that was a little Gary V. Another one is patience. Patience. I would argue, nice design, Mactown. I agree. Thank you for commenting, whoever that was. If you go, your name's not popping up there, but if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can approve to get your allow Facebook and StreamYard to communicate, which then your pretty face will show up, or your handsome face, whoever you are, will show up when you comment. But yes, very nice job, Mactown. Patience. Gary V talks a lot about patience. It's something that I had never really thought too much about. I would say I'm not naturally a patient person. I would say a lot of us are not naturally patient. But he's got a lot of content that he talks about where he's like, life is long. You're 38 years old and you think like you got no time left. Baloney. Hey, 59-year-old, you've got years left. Be patient. Be patient. So wherever you are, whatever you're working on, and I'll add to this a little bit more as I share some other quotes. But one of the big thoughts here is if we talk just about business, it takes a long time and a lot of hard work. It takes a lot longer and a lot more work than we'd like to build an incredible business. It takes time. It takes years. It takes month in, month out, week in, week out. We have to be more patient, and we have to also see we're making progress, but it takes a long time to really build something special. And we think, well, it's been 5 years. Why am I not there yet? How about you look at the progress you've made and you be patient? You continue to work hard, but be patient. That's a phrase that has really helped me, and I've kind of internalized that a little bit more. It's MA. Maybe that's Michelangelo. Is Michelangelo now thinking that he's so fancy that he can go by just his abbreviations, his initials? It's MA. Could be. I don't know. That is one thing that Gary Vee talks about a lot. Don't get fancy. Don't get fancy, MA. Okay. Another phrase, micro speed, macro patience. It kind of builds off, or another play off of that patience line. Micro speed. In the day in and day out, one thing, if you follow Gary Vee, he likes to show his hustle. He outworks everybody. That means the longest hours. That means the most work in those hours, like a huge part of who he is. And when he looks at his thought, he loves to work. He's a hustler. He hustles. He also makes it very clear that's not for everybody. Everybody should have some self-awareness and know what their line of hustle looks like and how far they want to take that. But one of the things he hits on is micro speed, macro patience. This means in the day in and day out, when you are working, you are focused and you're fast. You're doing things. You're getting things done. You're executing. Like day in and day out, yes, work to get a lot of work done. Don't be obnoxious about it. Don't have time to not pause and actually have a conversation with your team. Be aware of what's going on around you. But there's probably another 4 things I could have gotten done so far this morning if I would have been a little bit more focused and less Facebook clicking, less not focused on work, right? So micro speed. If you're speedy in the micro, that's good. But macro patience, kind of tying into what I just said. On the macro, on the big picture, be patient. Micro speed, macro patience. That's something that's been very helpful to me and that I wanted to share with you. There's 3 likes on today's show. We got a decent number of you watching live. If you want to go ahead and click a little like button or a little comment, I love those. We got some more. I'm sorry. Hang on. This is a time for Bailey and Rhonda to talk a little bit more about their coffee and water intake. Bailey would like Rhonda to know, I usually start with at least 1 to 2 cups of water before coffee. But with the cold weather, I'm definitely drinking more coffee than water midday. Also, I'd love to hear more about that special salt. Okay. We all want to hear more about that special salt, Rhonda. What's the benefit of it? Why do we do it, etc. Love that one. One of my favorite quotes of his. I think that micro speed, macro patience. So we've hit on document, don't create, 5149, patience in general, micro speed, macro patience. Okay. Next, suffocate your excuses. I was just listening to a little bit of Gary Vee on the Hot Ones show. There's a guy that lines up these 10 hot wings and they get hotter and hotter as you go. And he's a good interviewer and he interviews celebrities, and Gary Vee did one of them. The reason I was watching that is because my son and I did a Facebook Live last night. I wouldn't say it was the greatest piece of content. It did kind of drag on, and I wouldn't say my son was as animated as I was hoping him to be, but we had a lot of fun. It was still good. And we went through 10 wings, and number 9 and 10 did burn my face off. That's on my personal Facebook page if you'd like to reach out and be friends with me. So I've been looking at this Hot Ones thing, but at the very end of that, the interviewer was like, hey, what's a final thought that you have, Gary? And he said, suffocate your excuses. Suffocate your excuses. People that are so full of excuses, well, it's easy for you. Well, this is too hard, but they're not putting in the work. They're just, to Gary, they're repulsive, and just suffocate your excuses. Get rid of them. Get rid of them and get to work and execute. Part of what I like about Gary Vee is that he's just stinking motivating. Sometimes we just need a shot in the stinking arm to get motivated, right? Suffocate your excuses. Next time you hear yourself making a dumb excuse, get over it. Say that, and you know what? It's actually just a stinking excuse. I need to work through it. I need to plow through it. And I need to move forward. It's a phrase that he uses often and that I think is good for us to hear. Another one as we cruise through here. Never be romantic about how you make your money. Never be romantic about how you make your money. What this means is when we're in business for a certain amount of time, there's a repetition to it. There's a comfort level to it of saying, you know, this is the way we've done it. This is how we've priced it. These are the projects that I've always taken on. And we get romantic about it. We get nostalgic about it. We get stuck in a rut with it. You know, that's just how it works. That's how we make our money. And the big thing that he emphasizes there is don't get romantic about it. Things change. You have got to be open to changing the way you're doing things, the way you package things, the way you price things, the projects that you focus on or don't focus on. Don't be romantic that that's the way it's always been or that's been successful in the past. The business world, the remodeling world is always changing. And we need to make sure that we're changing with it and not being romantic about what got us to this point. Kill your darlings. I don't think that's a Gary Vee quote, Bailey, but I think you like that phrase and it kind of ties in with don't be romantic about it. Agreed. It's been said transparency is too hard. That must be MA. Michael, do you want us to refer to you as MA now? Just let us know, say the word and we'll do it. But yeah, don't be romantic about it. This is the way we've always done it. And what Michael is continuing to talk about, might I even say preach, is that transparency is not too hard, that there is a way to do that. There is benefits to it. He keeps pushing us on that. Good. So there's another phrase. Let's keep cruising because I got more. Re-romantic, interesting. It's another way to talk about being open to change and the need to adapt. Yeah. Exactly. That's the heart of it. One thing, we did this 4D thing and I'm just stepping back from this client for the first time in 12 years. I have two non-remodeling clients. One of them is an IT company in Connecticut. So that picture I showed earlier of my client, Ari, I've been working very closely with him and Gail for just a number of years, and 12 years. And we came out of that 4D with deciding, you know what, Ari has got an ideal client that he's looking for, which are manufacturers in Connecticut. And he created a podcast out of that called the Made in America podcast with Ari Santiago. And he has been interviewing, manufacturing leaders, CEOs, presidents, chief financial advisors, the association president for this manufacturing organization since about June of last year through now. He's done 60, 70 episodes. And this idea came from 4D, which is what we had attended in New York City there, called Daily Digital Deep Dive. And that idea crystallized and was created clearly, and it was direct advice that we kind of were thinking, but Gary, in our little Q&A time, really hammered it home. And this idea of, you know, you got to have a good personality to pull this off. But the idea of being a remodeler who kind of hosts the party, who could have a podcast for your local area. I'm starting to see more realtors try to do this, where realtors are going into different establishments in their local business, different stores, interviewing different thought leaders in their local area. And it's just kind of hosting the party. We're here today to interview so-and-so. There's a lot of potential for a remodeler with a good personality that's comfortable in front of camera and audio to host the party, to create a podcast for your little trade area, to just build, know, like, and trust, give value. And that value in your 5149 is going to come back to you. I'm intrigued to talk. If that intrigues any remodeler out there listening to this, reach out to me. I want to talk more about that. I'd love to see a few remodelers really embrace this concept or this idea of maybe starting a local podcast. But that can be for another time. MAOA. Mayoa. That's a Michael Anschel OA design build. Could be. He hasn't confirmed that he wants to be referred to as MA yet, but we'll see if that is the case. The next one. Put in the work. He might even put an F word in there sometimes, but put in the stinking work. we like to complain about lack of progress. We like to complain about difficulty with materials. We like to complain about this or that. Like there's some times where we just got to stink and put in the work. That resonates with me. Well, I can't get to this. Oh, I haven't done this. Oh, I want to launch that, but I haven't got. Put in the stinking work and stop complaining. Sometimes I need to hear that. Maybe you too. Along that same line, effort is grossly underrated, right? There's natural talent that each one of us possess that we've been gifted with, I would say by the Almighty Father, by God. Like he's designed us in different ways where there's certain things that we are just naturally gifted and talented at. And a lot of times maybe you can improve that, you can get better at that. But a lot of times we're naturally gifted in a certain way. There are other things like hustle that even if you're dumb as a box of rocks, but you put effort in and you hustle, there's going to be a level of success that you can get to. Let's say you're actually talented and you put in the effort, you put in the work. Well, now you really got it going. So Gary likes to talk about effort being grossly underrated. There's certain things, there's certain DNA, there's certain, I'm never going to be an NBA basketball player. I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot and a half an inch. I'm not 6'1". I'm not 6 foot, but I'm not going to play in the NBA. I don't have that talent. I don't have that natural DNA, right? But I could maybe put in some extra effort to get better at it. But to find that thing that you're really talented at and you apply effort behind it can be a really successful thing. So a couple things there, but the big thing is effort is grossly underrated. Put in the work. Another big thing, make positivity louder. I think I typed that a little too fast. Un momento, por favor. Louder. Yeah, I think that's how you spell it. Oh, that's much better. Is that louder? That's how you spell it. Now that I look at it, I'm like, is that correct? I think it is. Make positivity louder. Buy into positivity versus negativity. Blindly buy into positivity. Positivity leads to offense and results. It's the macro of it all. It's a phrase. It's a quote from Gary Vee. Something that I think there's a lot of merit to. It is very easy to look at any given situation and look at the negative in that situation. And when you just kind of glance a little bit to the side of it, there's also a bunch of things that you can think of that are positive about a situation. A lot of times our human nature, our attitudes, our stress level lead us towards a negative. Make positivity louder is a big thing that he talks about. Oh, we got 6 comments here. What do we got here? So do or not do. There is no try. Yeah, there's a little bit of heart to that. Yep. 10% smart, 90% work. Yeah, I like that. Got a Yoda. Tate tried it again. Do or do not. There is no try. Nailed it that second time, Tate. That feels like excellent election day advice. The negativity one versus the positivity, make positivity louder. I would agree with that. Folks, we got some more here. We got an update from Rhonda related to the salt. Everybody has been, we've covered several things here. Document, don't create. I shared a little bit about that. 5149. Always be giving more in a relationship, in a conversation than you're getting in return. Patience. Life is long. I don't care if you're 59, 67, 71, 42, 27. Be patient. Be patient. There's time. Micro speed, macro patience. Be fast in the day in, day out. Be patient in the macro. It takes a long time to build something special. Suffocate your excuses. Catch yourself when you're making excuses. Don't be romantic about how you make your money. Talks about a remodeler maybe want to start a local podcast. I'd love to talk to somebody about that. Put in the stinking work. But so all of that's out there. But what you really want to know is what we've talked about here in some of the comments. How does Rhonda approach this salt thing? What's this salt thing in her water about? Where this came from is yours truly have been trying to drink a little extra water today. The salt has helped me get rid of all migraines. It has so many minerals that we do not get, and we lose them when we sleep. So the first thing I drink is salt. It was tough at first, but I love it now. There you have it, folks. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. That's a G.I. Joe line from my childhood. I haven't sang the G.I. Joe theme song in a while. All right, what else do we have in here? It's easy to dream about it, much harder to execute it. Work. You hear a theme in his content? A lot of it's around action. Stop making excuses. Work hard. Again, that doesn't mean you have to work 77 hours a week. That's not the heart of what he's talking about. I mean, when I'm thinking working, I should be working. Like if I say I'm going to work from 8 to 4:30, there's a difference between me working from that time frame and really locked in and working. So that's the heart of it. But again, building a great business is hard. If it was easy to build a great remodeling business, a very profitable remodeling business, one where you're not the linchpin in everything that's going on, everybody'd be doing it. It'd be easy, right? But it's hard. It's hard. Be patient. Continue to work at it. I think that's good for you guys to hear. Another one he talks about a lot. Sorry, I can't move on until the chime, because the chime connotates, dictates, reminds us that it's time to move to the next thing. People are chasing cash, not happiness. When you chase money, you're going to lose. You're just going to. Even if you get the money, you're not going to be happy. He talks a lot about this, right? Is all of our value, our definition of success, our happiness tied in with monetary things, with the prizes that monetary things bring, with the cottage, with the boat, with the little faster car? If that's the case, you're going to find that dull. You're going to find that void. You're going to find that not being the ticket to happiness or a fulfilled life. So he talks about that a decent amount. I think that's interesting for us to hear. So McDonald's fries for breakfast might be a good thing. Hashtag salt. Okay. Rhonda says that salt is the worst. She's got the magic salt that gets rid of migraines. I kind of read that too. If I eat some McDonald's fries for breakfast, I think that's the direct exact same thing as what Rhonda's getting at. I bet you if we go to that redmond.life, it'll probably be like, we took this salt out of the McDonald's fries and we put it by itself. Gotta love what you do. Yes, you gotta love what you do. Absolutely. Ideas are worthless without the execution. Execution is pointless without the ideas. That was another little phrase that I saw. A couple other ones. Stop focusing on dumb. Don't be afraid to break things. Don't be romantic. Don't take the time. Don't aim for perfect. And whatever you do, keep moving. We focus on dumb stuff. The other one that I wanted to make sure I got to is this clouds and dirt. Clouds and dirt. This is a phrase that he's used, and I'm trying to find. There we go. You need a healthy dose of those extremes. The clouds. The high-end philosophy of what you believe, why you're building this business, why you're doing what you're doing. Be very clear with your clouds, with your why. And then also the dirt, that low-down subject matter expertise. This is very applicable to remodelers, right? You know how to do everything that needs to be done on that project. You know the dirt, the low-down subject matter expertise that allows you to execute against it. Clouds and dirt, clouds and dirt. I think a lot of times we get stuck in the dirt. We're not thinking about the clouds. And one thing that it hasn't connected super well in my brain of what this exactly looks like. But one thing Gary says is, clouds and dirt, all that stuff in between, you can't focus on as a leader of your business. You can't be spending most of your time in that middle stuff. Get really good with the clouds and the dirt. If you live for the weekends and vacations, your crap is broken. And I'll say this last one. Self-awareness, know yourself. This is one that has helped me over the last number of years of just kind of stepping back and being a little bit more aware of my strengths and my weaknesses. I think we live in a culture, in marriage, this is good, right? In marriage, if you have a weakness of not communicating well with your spouse, or a weakness of not being kind, or this, or whatever it might be, there's certain things where, we got to work on it at all costs. Like that relationship, I've got to get better at this, this, and this. But when it comes to owning a business, if you are really weak at working in QuickBooks and entering that stuff in, don't try to train yourself to get better at it. Find somebody to do it for you. That leaves you more time to focus on your strengths, which are usually the things that you enjoy better. But a lot of times our weaknesses, we just try to fix them and get better at it. Where a lot of times what he says is bet on your strengths. It's an underrated business strategy in a world where so many people are obsessed with fixing their weaknesses. They give short shift to the skills they were born with. I think that's applicable to all of us, right? Having more self-awareness, know yourself, know what you're really good at, know what you really enjoy, and figure out some ways to, maybe there's some skills that you do need to shore up and improve, but maybe there's some skills that you can go to your grave really being terrible at, but you've surrounded yourself with a team to help you with that, or somebody to take that responsibility off your shoulders, which allows you to do what you really were born to do, or that you really enjoy doing. So there's a bunch of little tips, little phrases. This was just inspired again by that document, don't create. And I thought, you know what, the Remodeler Show, Gary has been somebody that, love him or hate him, has made an impact on my life over the last 5 or 6 years. And he's got some good stuff to say. He's got some motivating stuff to say, makes you kind of think about things a little bit better. What was a takeaway from that? What was one of the phrases? And I know we're 1 minute over, but I'm going to wait around for another minute or two so you guys can type in a couple takeaways. What were a couple takeaways that you heard in the items that we just covered? 5149, patience, suffocate your excuses. Don't be romantic about what got you here or how you make your money. Put in the work, make positivity louder. What were some of the things that you heard in this? Tate was saying the Enneagram for self-awareness, like, yeah, whether it's the Enneagram, whether it's disc profiles, it really does give you a lot of clarity on your strengths and weaknesses. Doubly true for managing employees. Know their strengths. Don't set them up for failure. It's very good. Okay. Give me a couple more takeaways if you would, and then we will call this a wrap. Oh, come on. Come on. Where you at? Okay, fine. Fine. I see you all still there. We actually picked up one additional. Oh, there we go. There we go. It might have taken a minute. Patience is a daily reminder for me. I also like the document, don't create. Good. All right. Sweet. Folks, that was the Remodeler Show. Make sure you vote today. Make sure you show kindness to one another. Bailey said, go all in on your strengths. I like that. It's all good. Everything he says cuts through. Good. Excellent, my friends. Have a productive afternoon. It might be a good afternoon. I think me with you to maybe look at my overall to-do list, my overall work that's kind of on the docket for this afternoon, and make sure the stuff that I'm working on is the highest priority stuff for me to be working on. It's very easy to go to your inbox and start with your most recent email and start working from there. It's not productive, but it certainly isn't the most productive use of your time. Make sure you take the time to identify that next right thing, that frog that you're most likely to put off, but that you most need to get done today. Try to identify that here early this afternoon, or for my West Coasters this morning, and focus in on that this afternoon. Why is it when I'm trying to wrap up, there's like 4 more people that join? It makes me want to keep going. But alas, it's time to go. After all, I have a half of a Jimmy John's sub and some barbecue chips. Those barbecue chips from Jimmy John's are amazing. They also have salt on them, which I hear will fix any and all ailments that we have.